For the French, establishing a presence in the New World is challenging enough.
But if the English attack you twice, forcing you to abandon your fortress, I'd call that a disaster.
I've been waiting for you.
Oh, hello. You must be
Hi,
Christy.
I'm Christy.
I'm Luke, nice to meet you.
And I'm Jock. Pleasure.
Nice to meet you.
So you're gonna show us around?
I am. Come on in.
All right. Can we throw our guitars in the outhouse here?
Not an outhouse.
Do you mind if I use the... No?
It's not an outhouse, and what did I do? Yeah.
It's a sentry box.
A sentry box.
Sentry box.
That's what I'm calling my bathroom from now on.
Yeah.
You may use my sentry box.
Let's go.
The fortress of Louisbourg, Cape Breton Island. For France, it was a North American commercial hub. Under siege twice by the British. First in 1745, followed by a treaty signed in 1748, returning the land back to France, only to be under siege again in 1758, again being overtaken, forcing soldiers and citizens back to France. But today, it's a living history museum, and Luke and Jock are marching their way around as they tour this nearly 400-year-old fortress.
Kind of creepy.
It's very creepy.
This place definitely has an eerie feeling about it. It's dark, it's damp, there's a bit of a smell. And what adds to that is we're heading to a crypt.
And in this crypt, there are the remains of more than 40 New Englanders who died after the first siege in 1745.
So this is it. This is the site of the burial. It's not the original site of the burial. In February 2007, a major storm surge uncovered the foundation of a building out on the Rochford Point, it's called, and it exposed that there was over 40 bodies buried, a mass burial in the foundation in the basement of this house. So the threat of coastal erosion, we didn't want to lose them to the sea, so we very respectfully interred the bodies here in the crypt in the King's Bastion.
Any idea why the bodies were there originally, like why they died and why were there so many bodies in one location?
It's most likely that they died of disease, possibly camp fever, in that first winter after the first siege, and because it can spread very easily, they had to bury them very quickly. So that's most likely the reason why you find a mass burial.
If you were lucky enough to make it through the first siege and survive camp fever, smallpox, malaria, or even the flu, you still had the second siege to deal with.
It was right here where General Wolfe directed his forces.
While preparing for a siege from the sea, the 8,500 sailors and soldiers of Louisbourg were not ready for the ground attack.
So imagine it, over 13,000 British soldiers landing right there on their way to overtake Louisbourg.
The British started their 6-kilometer trek towards the fortress, fighting battles every step of the way and taking whatever weather the Atlantic was throwing at them.
With the surprise beach landing from the British, it left this area vulnerable for attack from all sides.
The French then attempted to sabotage their cannons and fled back to the fortress. At this point, the English could easily take this location and launch a direct attack.
With only one more key position left to overtake, things were looking grim for the French.
After taking the Royal Battery and occupying this position here, the British moved their navy just off the coast, completely surrounding the French fortress and sealing their fate.
A fate that was the end of Fortress Louisbourg. Centuries later, it has been rebuilt, and to this day, artifacts of this remarkable civilization are being uncovered. And to see some of the collection, Christy has taken the boys to meet Michael.
So in the collection, you're going to see all the artifacts that have been excavated from the 1960s and on. We have ceramics, we have glass, metal, whole variety of things. So while life might have been difficult for some, for others not so much. And here we have examples of some of the ceramics that have come from China, for example. We have porcelain here. And over here we have the jug for making drinking chocolate. So if you wanted to have some spiced hot chocolate in the 18th century, this is the material that you'd be using to make it.
So this is actually gives me a different perspective. Like, this is pretty nice stuff, pretty fine china.
Yeah, if you're wealthy, you have a lot of money here, then you're going to be eating off of expensive china. If you're a slave or one of the fishermen, maybe not so much.
So there was a lot of rich and poor people here.
Well, definitely more poor than rich,
Okay.
for sure.
And it looks like you have some metal bits over here.
Yeah.
Is that a sword handle?
It is. That's the handle with a piece of wood in it. So they wrap the metal around it, and that's the guard.
Would this be a sword that would have been used by the French staying here, or is this one?
This is original. This is 18th century.
18th century.
Yep.
Very cool. Do you have any more metal?
Absolutely. Here we go.
Little hinges, and it looks like a key.
Yeah, the key for a lock, hinges. We have horseshoes, bits and pieces of doors.
Now there's millions of artifacts here, but there's still many more just waiting to be discovered out there.
That's right. And Luke and I just happened to bring our jackhammers, and we're going to get out in the dirt and see what we can dig up.
Well, maybe not jackhammers, but I'll lend you my trowel.
It doesn't sound nearly as impactful.
Well, we don't want to hurt the artifacts. So the people behind me who are excavating, this is the public archaeology program at the Fortress of Louisbourg, and it's been running since 2005. None of them are primarily archaeologists, and they just have an interest in archaeology, and they just signed up for the program, and they get a week of learning how to be an archaeologist effectively.
Am I scraping it too hard?
I'd say probably not hard enough.
Okay.
It's like glass. Are you, like, every little fragment you keep, or?
That stuff we'll just leave in the dirt there. We'll eventually fill a bucket and go over and screen it, and we'll catch it in the screen. So
Okay.
this stuff we're primarily looking for bigger things.
Okay. Gentle.
Do you shake it?
Yep, so dump it all in.
Dump it all, and then we shake this.
There you go. Yeah, it's on wheels, it's nice and easy.
Just give it a good sturdy shove. Sorry, am I doing
Yeah.
the fun part?
No, you're doing it.
Put your fingers down there, Luke.
Okay.
All right, now we just rummage.
You just rummage. So there's a bit of a nail.
Hey, look at that.
Well, that's very cool. I've never done an archaeological dig before.